I like my friends, and I want to invite them over for a party, but I'm finding the process of doing so to be really annoying. In fact, even just getting an invite is a pain these days. There are so many modern day pitfalls. Two-factor confirmations, phone and email verifications, invites getting lost in spam, me missing out because I forgot to add the date from the text my friend sent me. It's killing me socially. What is the best way to organize a party? Because I can't have nobody show up again. So here's my problem. When you create a calendar event on your computer or phone, there is an option to invite people. You can input anybody's email and they should get a calendar notification or email with the details and the ability to respond yes, maybe, or no. My problem is that most of my friends don't receive any notifications from me at all. So I'm texting them, hey, did you get my invite? And they're like, what invite? Just text me the details. Now, I have since figured out why my friends aren't receiving any invites, and I will explain why later. But this whole digital invites thing isn't really that new. In fact, I remember when Evites was what everyone was using before Facebook took over. But in this day and age, I refuse to use Facebook. These days, what people are using is Partiful. It's a pretty comprehensive service created by some Palantir alumni that lets you create event invites with features like money requests and photo uploads. There's a lot of space for visual customization, and you invite your friends by sending a link that lets them RSVP, even using an app clip on iPhone to do so. Pretty neat. Apple has their own take on that with the Invites app. It is significantly more Apple-centric, requiring an iCloud Plus subscription to even create an event, and it keeps its integrations within their platform. The thing is, neither of these apps are intuitive to respond to. For instance, anyone who receives an Apple Invites invitation needs to sign in with their Apple ID to respond. Another problem for me when my friends don't know their password. And if they don't have an Apple ID, then they need to input their email and verify it. Annoying. Partiful is less onerous, but to respond, friends still need to use and verify their phone number, which will create an account for them. And if they want to import the event into their personal calendar, they'll need to download the app and sign in. I don't know about you, but I do feel like it's a bit of a big ask to get your friends to jump through these arduous verification hoops just to accept an invitation. It should be simple. Everybody who has a phone and email address has a calendar. They should be able to hit accept and have it right there. So, back to my problem. See, it's Apple's fault. When I got my first iPhone in 2013, I decided, sure, why not? I'll use iCloud and pick that as my calendar service. But Apple decided when they launched iCloud to make sure that everyone with an Apple ID had their calendar set up. You're in. What this means is that when I send invites to my Android-using friends' emails, they don't get notified because their Apple ID is stealing the notification. If you log into iCloud.com, click on Calendar, then the three dots in a circle, then Settings, then Account, there it is. Receive invitations. By default, the setting selected for everyone is via in-app notifications, whether you still use an Apple device or not. Why? Sorry, I'm steaming a little bit because this annoys me to no end. Sure, in-app invites are convenient as it means I get to avoid receiving emails from other iCloud users, but it's actually really bad because I have no idea who or why people aren't receiving my invites, and there's no way for me to fix it because it's their setting. This is a damn shame too, because the email that Apple sends to people who can get them is really thorough and can be RSVP'd without any sign-in or verifications. Many years ago, there was an attempt to create a technical standard to help with my problem called iSchedule. It was written by the same people who created the CalDAV protocol, which syncs your calendar apps with your server. Unfortunately, that went nowhere. Okay, So I am still curious, what is the best calendar service to use if you want to organize your life and include your friends in it? Well, to find out, I ran a bunch of tests sending and receiving calendar invites between all the major services. So, iCloud, Google, Outlook, Yahoo, ProtonMail, and even our own web hosting service provider. Here's what I learned.
Apple and Microsoft do not play along. Even with the notification setting fixed, Outlook would not receive the email from Apple. And it didn't work the other way around either, with my Apple Mail not receiving the invitation from Outlook. So great.
Microsoft was also fickle when receiving messages from Google and Outlook, if you can believe it, sending those messages to spam.
The only other issue I had was with our web hosting service Porkbun, which wasn't able to communicate with Yahoo for some reason. Remarkably, ProtonMail was the most reliable and consistent service, receiving and responding to invites without any issue. It is worth noting, however, that ProtonMail doesn't support CalDAV syncing because it's not encrypted, which means that I can't use Apple's Calendar app with it. Only Protons will work, though probably works better than Apple's Calendar app anyway.
Back to my weird iCloud problems. One of the frustrations I've had with Google Calendar invites is that when I receive an email and click the yes button to respond, Google prompts me to sign in.
So that it can add it to my Google Calendar I don't use. This is because my Apple ID and Google account share the same email. What I have discovered in my testing is that I can get it to work, I just need to click on the ICS file.
Opening it in my Apple Calendar app then provides me with the accept, maybe, and decline prompts, but only on Mac. iOS, for some reason, won't do that.
Apple's whole implementation of calendars is really weird. They have this Siri suggestions feature which uses machine learning to parse through any messages that have event details and then add them automatically to my calendar. The thing is though, it doesn't appear to be using the ICS files as a source. So if I want to respond, I have to do all this manually. So it's just cluttering up my calendar.
Every other service at least recognizes the event and provides response options right there. Why can't Apple? What are we doing?
Look, this has been really confusing and I'm glad you've stayed this far, because I do still have a recommendation, and it is this. Google Calendar is the best calendar. Yeah, Yahoo and Outlook might put your invites in your friends' spam boxes, but the single best thing about Google Calendar is the invite via link button.
You can text this link, you can email this link. Anyone who receives it can RSVP with their email, and there's no verification needed. When they do, you get the notification and they get the calendar details sent to their email, just as if you had sent it to them directly. So, forget Partiful and Apple Invites, the Gmail you already have works.
Which means I seriously am considering switching my calendar to Google. I can't believe it. What's next? I'm gonna switch to Android? Yes, you made it. You got my calendar invite. Come on in. I'm so glad I got the calendar thing fixed. Oh yeah, these. My mom found a bunch of floppy disks in the basement and I'm gonna sort through them.